The president of iRacing has confirmed new details about the NASCAR 25 video game, plus everything that's happening with IndyCar, with iRacing, and if we're going to get a new game sometime soon, and a brand new game coming from iRacing that we should be paying attention to. Coming up today on Shifting Gears.
High, push it, checker flag, hell yeah!
What's the caution for? Me?
Can I not push it in?
Stop anybody.
Come on, he's going! Way to go, boys! One hell of a job, man, one hell of a job. Thank you so much.
Welcome on into a Shifting Gears on a Saturday, February 10th, 2024. I am Alan Bailey. Yes, I know I promised a new diecast download, but this was too important and this was too urgent in order to override that. So we're going to get a new diecast download next Saturday. I promise you it's coming out. But today we are going to talk about the interview that Mike Straw, the senior editor over at Insider Gaming and all-around badass. Seriously, go give him a follow because he is the guy who's breaking all the news in video games right now, and he's the guy you need to go follow. He sat down with iRacing president Tony Gardner, and they went over quite a lot. You got to go watch the entire interview. It's up on their YouTube channel right now. The link is going to be in the description. If you're a motorsport fan, or if you're an iRacer, or you just happen to be a casual gaming fan of motorsports, I highly recommend that you go watch it because they covered a lot that we're not going to cover in this video. So make sure that you go check out that full interview right now. And a massive shout out to Mike. He did a fantastic job with this interview. Seriously, the magnificent Mike Straw just continues to just fire on all cylinders. Mike, you're a badass. Keep doing it, Mike. It's awesome. One of the big things that was confirmed, and we kind of knew this, we've known it's coming, we reported it here on Shifting Gears a while back, is that Rain is coming to iRacing in March of 2024. Now, originally, it was supposed to be coming out in December. He confirmed that, Tony did in the interview, and I'm extremely happy that they didn't launch it in December, and I think they made the right choice there. They were supposedly ready to go, but they wanted to kind of hold it back because, believe it or not, they just had literally the largest sim race. Almost 20,000 racers participated in the virtual 24 hours of Daytona. And I think just they didn't want to add this new element to their servers in the middle of this massive event. Obviously, Max Verstappen's team won it because, he's kind of good. But I think that pushing it back was obviously the right call, but it means that we're going to get very interesting road racing conditions moving forward, and frankly, I'm really excited to put the Rain on in some oval races just to see what happens, and frankly, I want to go road racing with a stock car in the Rain. I think it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. Let me know what you think about Rain coming to iRacing in the comments down below. There's also confirmation that iRacing is developing a career mode for the sim. This has been in the works for quite a while, and while they're still honing the AI racing, which has taken leaps and bounds over the course of the last year or so, they're still working on something that's going to be a little bit better for iRacers to play offline. Frankly, I'm going through a career mode right now with the AI racing. You can, at the moment, build an entire season and create the roster, upload the paint schemes through Trading Paint, and create a roster, and that's what we've done with the NASCAR 24 series that we're running over on the Team Chaos YouTube channel, which is coming back. I've just been very busy, and honestly, I love it. I think it's extremely good. You get the variety. You can go into Trading Paints and into the sim itself and really work on everybody's rankings and make it interesting. But let's get into the nitty-gritty of the NASCAR 25 video game, and that is not the official name. It's just what we are calling it because we don't know what else to call it. We know that it's coming out sometime in the year 2025. I'm hearing that they are hoping to have it out closer to Q1, Q2, meaning that we could get it in like February, March, April, but that is the ideal time to put it out. Realistically, I have a feeling they're going to be putting it out maybe midsummer, maybe in the fall, Q3, Q4, because that will give them more time to develop this game. But there's actually really good news on that front. The big headline that everybody's running with is the fact that they are using the Unreal Engine, which is what was used for NASCAR 21 Ignition. And I know that's throwing up red flags to people who played 21 Ignition, as I did. But that's okay, because honestly, Unreal is the new generation of game engine. It's the one that everybody is building off of right now, and when it's done correctly, we see an extremely well done game. It obviously was not done well with NASCAR 21 over at Motorsport Games. This, I do think, is the right move long term for the series and for the franchise. Another big revelation is the fact that Monster Games is developing this games, or MGI, and they've boasted their employees since acquiring that studio from about 20 employees to now 35 employees. So iRacing pumping in new employees and new dollars and new technology, because they also confirmed that iRacing's assets, meaning the car scans, the track scans, and all of the artwork, are being imported into this game, as confirmed by Tony.
We put all hands on deck to try to make the best game we can. But they're using our car models, our track models, a lot of our tech. They've done a lot of integration in the back end. So when we update a track, we're trying to bring all of our NASCAR tracks up to the latest spec, get them all current, and they have developed a system where they can just import our tracks in. Things like that. They're working behind the scenes, and they're working on a new graphics engine. So the graphics engine is going to be Unreal, whereas their prior games had been on Unity.
Let's be blunt here. This is not a copy and paste type scenario. No. They had to essentially invent a new way to port all of this content over to the console game. And yes, there are stipulations that Sony and Microsoft have for the PlayStation and the Xbox, respectfully, and that's where these console games are going primarily. We don't know specifically if it's going to be on the PS5, the PS4, or which version of the Xbox it will be on, but we do know that they are working with Sony and Microsoft, respectfully, to get the game on those consoles. And massive shout out to Mike, because one of the questions that I proposed, and one of the features I want as a fan, is a trading paints type feature for this game, where you're able to upload and modify your own paint schemes in the game, and we got some confirmation on that.
Custom designs for their cars.
I don't want to shatter their hopes and dreams, but I don't think things are going to be that free and open. But I mean, we're going to really try to do the best job we can. But I don't think that it won't work like iRacing.
Not the news I was hoping for, admittingly, but it's expected. I did not expect a full trading paints cross-promotion with the game by any means, and frankly, it's probably for the best, because you don't want people uploading questionable adult uncensored content like we see on iRacing right now. Yes, iRacing and Trading Paints does flag certain things that are extraordinarily inappropriate, but there are some things that get through the cracks, and it can be a little interesting. iRacing and Trading Paints essentially don't copyright anything and don't run anything through a copyright check, so it is a gray area that I think iRacing will be working on down the road, but not for Game 1. The big headline that we saw not too long ago was the fact that iRacing now has IndyCar back on the service. Again, they clarified it in this interview. They more or less lost the naming rights to IndyCar because IndyCar signed a massive deal with Motorsport Games that gave up those naming rights as part of an exclusivity deal. iRacing wasn't happy about the exclusivity, neither was IndyCar, but it paid so well, IndyCar would have been very foolish not to take it, and they took it, and we saw how that played out. Unfortunately, the game was canceled over at Motorsport Games because the company just simply overloaded themselves, but it ultimately means that IndyCar is back on iRacing as of this moment, with the Indy 500 coming up in May virtually in the iRacing service, as well as IndyCar leagues and online racing as well. Now, it sounds like iRacing would love to announce that, yes, we are working on an IndyCar game, but at the moment, it seems like they are not doing that, simply because they don't want to make the same mistakes that Motorsport Games made by overloading their workload, overloading their employees. They're working on one game right now for NASCAR, and to do an IndyCar game simultaneously would essentially be splitting the team up into two teams, and they don't want to do that. They'd rather put out one good quality product game instead of two probably mediocre games and spread their employees thin. This is it's just common knowledge. It's extraordinarily smart. Focus on one thing at a time, or more specifically, don't overload your employees to the point that they're burnt out and unable to put out quality work. You got to get that work-life balance, and it sounds like iRacing is taking that extraordinarily seriously, and for that, as fans, we have to respect it and honor it.
So, I'm sure people are interested if we're going to build an IndyCar console game, and I don't think that's any short-term plan, but I think the door's open. That's a possibility someday.
Yeah,
but
I think
that's not what the news is going to be. Hopefully, but I know that's what people want, and we, in a perfect world, we could do that too. But we don't want to make the same mistake motorsport games did and bite up more than we can chew.
Mike asked the right question, and Tony did confirm that, yes, they are talking with IndyCar about long-term plans, but there's nothing short-term on the horizon. So best case scenario, maybe in a year or two, once the NASCAR console game is released and their team is up and thriving, maybe we can see an IndyCar game come to market sometime in the next few years, but it's not something that's actively being worked on right now, nor does it seem like there are short-term plans to work on one over there. This is the right call. There is no way around that. I would rather see a great IndyCar game in 5 years than a mediocre, crappy one in 2 years, frankly. But let me know what you think in the comments down below, IndyCar fans. Do you want to see a game sooner rather than later, or would you rather wait for a quality one in a few years? After watching this interview 3 times all the way through and skipping around a bunch to watch it for clips and things while editing this video, the big question that I have coming out of this interview is, are we going to see legacy content in the console game from iRacing and Monster Games? Now, what do I mean by legacy content? I mean older cars, older track models. No, I don't want to see a COT or a 1980s car in the game, although, now did I say that out loud? That actually is not a bad idea. I'd love to race the 87 classic cars in this console game. That'd be pretty badass, actually. But I'm more specifically talking about the racetracks themselves. When I say that, tracks get updated. They get rescanned throughout the years. Let's take Daytona, for example. It was originally scanned back in 2008 when it was really bumpy before it was repaved, and then it was repaved and it was rescanned, I believe in 13, 14-ish, somewhere around there, where it was more smoother because it was laser scanned and because it was done so well by Daytona International Speedway. And because of that, there are now 2 versions of Daytona on the service. The current one, which is the smoother one, and the pre-2008 that was the original pavement. That's super bumpy where you're bouncing through the corners like crazy. I love old Daytona because it is such a challenge, especially in the 87 classic cars, and it's just so much damn fun. Could we potentially see the legacy tracks, the legacy cars make their way into the sim? No confirmation, but why the hell not? They confirmed that they're essentially porting over all of the current NASCAR tracks into the game, so you can definitely port over Daytona 08 or Rockingham or even the 2 Mile Auto Club Speedway in Fontana. I think that would be extraordinarily cool. It'd be really cool if this was an unlockable similar to what we got with the Thunder series back in the day, but because of how gaming culture is now and because of how the business model works, I do think that iRacing will more than likely put this behind a DLC, but honestly, I'm fine with it. Give me the Legacy DLC where I get to race Rockingham or the 2 Mile Auto Club Speedway or Daytona 2008. I think that would be phenomenally cool, and I desperately want it. Please make it happen, iRacing. I'm not kidding. Please? And if you're an off-road racing fan like I am, and I don't mean dirt track stuff, I mean legitimately Baja 1000 off-road racing, make sure that you go watch the interview between Mike Straw and Tony Gardner. They talked about a new off-road game that iRacing and Monster Games is developing that I legitimately am probably the most excited about, honestly. I love off-road racing, and everything that they're talking about in the interview got me so excited, and it made me want to pre-order the game right now. Yes, I was that excited. And of course, they also talked about the World of Outlaws and how they're going to be announcing some stuff coming up here pretty soon about the World of Outlaw game that came out not too long ago and why other stuff might be coming down the road. It's a massive interview. It's only about 40-45 minutes, so go watch it right now. The link is in the description below. And while you're there, make sure that you mash that subscribe button so that you do not miss a video in 2024. And of course, you can always log on to arnrace.com for the latest motorsports news. ARN, the Motorsports authority. Massive shout out to Mike Straw over at Insider Gaming. Mike, sincerely, you did a wonderful job. Phenomenal interview. Thank you for doing the Lord's work for us gaming fans and giving us a ray of hope that we sincerely haven't had in a hot minute. And iRacing, Tony Gardner, their entire team over there are doing great work. Let them cook, because they're coming up with something amazing. So for Shifting Gears, I'm Alan Bailey. We'll see you at the track.